Hi everyone, thank you for your time. I know it's lunchtime, but thanks for uh, your presence here. I'm going to go through some deployment options for Foundation for cloud service provider. It gives you an ability to, really have various look at capex and opex. So let us roll into it. Just to quickly give you a background about what VMware Cloud Foundation is, in few slides, it's basically uh, standard architecture, validated architecture based on simplified way of scaling the environment. You can start small, you can grow as you need by adding host by host based on automation, which also does life cycle of the entire stack, comprises of vSAN, vSphere, NSX at the core with some additional components as you move forward. So essentially, if you look at Cloud Foundation components, they are all proven products. vSphere, vWalls, NSX, uh, all other optional cloud controls or Tanzu or vRealize automation. They are a part of overall Cloud Foundation footprint where you can deploy the core components as a management cluster and then manage it through SDDC Manager. And as you move forward toward your multi-cloud strategy, you have a cloud console, and then additionally, you have an option to deploy Tanzu Kubernetes clusters as well as various area operations based on vRealize lifecycle automation. So in short, if you look at it, you start with management domain, which typically starts with 4 nodes, and definitely it brings up your management cluster, which is basically comprises of SDDC manager, vCenter server, NSX managers, and then it gives an ability to deploy the customer workloads or your business workloads either into the management domain by using resource pools, or also gives an ability to deploy the workload domains. Workload domains can be for a tenant A or tenant B, essentially giving you an ability to carve out or slice your various infrastructure components to deploy a tenant specific workloads into the Cloud Foundation environment successfully. Let us have a look on the deployment options, what it is that we can do. From a single site or stretch or multi-site or even edge site deployments, Cloud Foundation will allow you to deploy definitely on one site. You can start with one management cluster and you can grow, and you can definitely go into the standard architecture, which is basically an ability to deploy workload domains. Each workload domain will have their own vCenter servers, and then you have minimum 3 hosts to start with. Also, if you wanted to have a stretch cluster deployment, you have an ability to do a vSAN stretch cluster for your workload domains by stretching management as well. So from a DR perspective or from resiliency perspective, you can have your DR set up very easily with the automation that delivered by Cloud Foundation. Uh, Again, the deployment option number 3 could be in a single site. You can have a multiple workload domains, or you can have one big workload domains. Each workload domain can scale up to 64 hosts, which is basically a vSAN specific maximums that you can achieve. And each vCenter server can have up to more than 1024 hosts managed. So you can have multiple clusters within the workload domain as well. And again, site option number 4 is multi-region. If you have different availability zones, you can definitely deploy VCF and then basically have your NSX load balancer basically managing where you want to deploy workloads depending on the logic that you built it into your load balancer, or from the region where it is coming, a VM will be deployed. And I have a customers deploying VCF per country. So I got about a customer running VCF in 10 countries. Each countries have their own set of VCF running in, and then basically managed through cloud management portal to deploy a workload at a given particular customer site in a given country seamlessly. So with that said, I think with VCF 5.0, you probably have heard about having an isolated workload domain. So what you see is a single SSO domain that we started with, and you can grow up to 14 workload domains because all those workload domains vCenter servers were in an enhanced link mode. But with VCF 5, we are able to really give you an ability to isolate them. You can have 14 workload domains in a link mode, but you have an option when you're creating a workload domain to have its own SSO domain. And then you can scale up to 24 or 25 workload domains essentially. So each customer has their customer 1 dot local, customer 2 dot local type of SSO workload domain that can be deployed for each customer. And if you really wanted to go totally isolated, you can do so that each and every customer will get their own SSOs. It could be your different units within your company, like accounts or HR or maybe sales. You can have workload domain defined, and then you can attach their own SSO domain to ensure that you know from where it is coming and who it belongs to. And it helps also you to do a show back to your customers as well. So this is a new feature that was launched officially in VCF 5. Kind of allows you to really go wide and scale your architecture beyond 14 workload domains. You can go up to 25 and up to 1,000 hosts. Again, these are typically soft limits. If you have a need to scale beyond that, we will work with you to make sure that you have no performance issues because there's only one SDDC manager, and that SDDC manager database has to make sure that it can manage and deliver the performance when you are creating a workload domain, when you are performing an upgrade or LCM functions or workloads onto that particular workload domain. So we can work with you. So coming back to how it looks, you must have heard about VMware Cloud Editions, right? This is the way that you can think about as a cloud provider. If you are to deploy various workload domains, you can do so. So you can kind of refine your dedicated private cloud architecture with a new way of delivering it. So each customer is essentially one workload domain. So they are getting a dedicated host for them as a dedicated private cloud. But the entire management is centralized as a provider. It's a cost to the provider to run the business. Customer is happy because they are getting an isolated environment just to run their workloads. In fact, since I'm running customers' workload domains, vCenter server, NSX servers, or NSX manager into the management workload domain, I am giving more capacity for customers' workload domains or workloads to run in their own capacity. So you are providing more capacity to your customers easily. Let us do a double click on what it really means. So it's the elasticity that brings to the table from a provider point of view as well as from customer's point of view. So if you look at this, it's more like I have workload domain 1 with multiple workload domains or multiple clusters, easily manageable from my cloud provider services perspective. What I have on the top in the green is a cloud director, which allows me to have that multi-tenancy very seamlessly, very easily, giving me an ability to really deliver something like virtual private cloud for each customer. Again, if customer wants to scale out, either you can scale out by creating a different cluster or creating a workload domain dedicated for that customer. If there is a third customer comes in, I can create a workload domain, a cluster for that customer and allocate to them to use it. For me as a provider, cloud director remains same. There is no change for me. So that's an additional advantage that you can have as a provider to deliver single tenant cloud in a multi-cloud fashion actually. And that can be scalable very, very easily from provider's point of view. So again, kind of giving you the scalability numbers with VCF 5. My management stack can grow because I have maybe 24 workload domains that I want to manage. I have various additional other components running into the management cluster for my customers' workloads. Like for example, edge clusters. They are going to run into my management cluster, but actual workloads will be running onto each workload domain. So that I have to scale my environment and go up to 24 isolated workload domains and maximum up to 1,000 hosts. This is what we have tested successfully, and that's what we are putting it as a maximum. And if you want to scale beyond that, definitely we are there to help you. Giving more color on architecture level, like as a provider platform, uh, typically if you have a need of sovereign cloud, so sovereign cloud architecture kind of fits onto this foundation and easily scalable to maybe a developer ready cloud or maybe DR or migration type of use cases that you can execute on top of this with the help of cloud provider architecture or a design that we have. So as a provider, what are the key benefits? For example, scalable architecture, easy onboarding, making sure that I have a way to reduce the sprawl of VCF. In the previous releases, there were like sprawl of my VCF clusters running for each customer. I can take care of that and be operationally efficient in this particular new architecture as a provider. In conclusion, it definitely brings a lot of flexibility and also gives you scalability and reduce your operational headaches on managing those multiple VCF environments. Instead of that, you can have one management plane and deploy it for all your customers with a single management plane, reducing OpEx as well. So it's a unified experience. Elasticity is there, highly available and multi-cloud ready. And also now, as you heard yesterday, this is the platform that you can deliver to get your customers ready or get your business ready for running Gen AI type of application very, very easily. With that said, I'm out of time. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Enjoy the show. Thank you.